Hello and welcome, Cosmic Explorers, to another edition of Cosmic Insight. I'm your co-creator, Hillis Pugh, along with
Rebecka, Gregory here. Thank you so much for watching our show today here at Cosmic Insight. And Hillis, what ascendant masters are we going to be able to have fun and explore with today?
I am super excited to welcome back. Oh, well, like first time on the show, but my brothers and sister, Galactic Greg and Robin and Leigha, they are Ascendant Masters, and today we are going to be talking about activating your DNA and really understanding what it takes to really step into that space, to really allow for that inner being, that inner master to emerge within you, to allow the energy to connect with the source creator, to allow for the wholeness that we are as we move into these higher dimensional spaces and frequencies. So I am super, super duper, can you tell? Excited to have Greg, Robin, and Leigha with us today. So welcome, family, to today.
Hi,
Hello,
guys.
hello.
So I know you guys are a part of the Ascended Masters, as we all are. Not just in the physical space, but also in the energetic space as well, which is why I consider you all family, because we wouldn't have connected otherwise, correct?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you guys have this amazing class, this DNA activation, part 1 of 3. Now, before we get into you telling us more about this activation, now is it just the beginning of 3 parts, and when can we expect the other pieces to be released?
Yes, it is part 1. And first of all, thank you so much for having us, Hillis. And,
Yeah.
and it's a pleasure and an honor to meet you. We really appreciate and honor what you guys are doing, and it's great to be here. So yes, it's a 3-part series that we're promoting and putting out, and part 1 is activating your DNA. So it's a little over an hour long, and it involves going over the aspects of self that are disconnected from source,
Mhm.
and how do we reconnect those. And we liken it to the antenna of the DNA. And we all have it, it's active, it's working, but what is it really receiving? And how do we localize that source of code that comes in, that transmits itself through us, that we call consciousness, experience, our identity, our belief in purpose? Where do all these things come from? So we're looking to reconnect with our source, so we can experience a more balanced version of self. If we are unaware of what we're here to accomplish, um, we're not taking in the satisfaction of what we're accomplishing. We may have an idea that what we're meant to do is the opposite of what we've come here to do. And that can lead one to develop a life of pain. And what are these emotions? So we look to really explore that. Is it to be interpreted as bad, or is it really up to the individual to align with their truth?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And, it's so important right now as you were speaking, because so many things are changing right now, and that activation is so important. And so many people I find now are in that polarity, you say, of good, bad, wrong. So learning to come in, and you find that people are moving more into that, of wanting that neutrality in their life.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. People are craving peace, and they are craving that neutrality. This is essentially our true system, our true
Hmm.
home-based system at a grassroots level coming back online. That need, not necessarily even a need, but we're seeking more. We understand that we are more at a grassroots level. We're just more than this physical temple, this physical vessel. It goes well beyond that. We chose to come into this vessel to experience this, to have this experience in the physical. As a soul, it wasn't quite enough for us. So we wanted to be within this physical body, to be within the perceived restraints of what the physical body is, which we're now learning there are no restraints. As a soul, even within a physical temple, we can exceed well beyond the expectations that were laid before us, or that were taught to us. So this is essentially us coming back online, learning who we truly are, coming to the conclusions of where we want to go and who we want to be and what we want to achieve in our lives, and understanding that the achievements are limitless. They're absolutely endless. We are gods and goddesses walking. We are more than even just a soul. It goes so deep. So that's why activating your DNA is such a vital, vital component to this journey, because that's what's happening. Individuals that are waking up or that are becoming more aligned with their soul purpose are essentially igniting that internal hardware and igniting that internal DNA, that lost DNA or that junk DNA that so many have spoken about that we don't need. No, it's actually a part of us. It's very much a part of us. It is our raw code. It's who we are.
Exactly.
Yeah. I really, really loved what you said there, and a few things triggered. But some of the things we've talked about before on the show, but one of the things that it really triggered that I want you guys to really touch on, and I feel that we're moving in this direction as a collective, is that when you said it's hardware and it's this energy, and what sparked in my mind was the technology aspect, or the biotech, if you will, as some people refer it to. And I want you guys, can you tell us more about the quantum space in which the DNA, the biotech that's living in us? I mean, because it's that space that we are all wanting to know and wanting to understand. Is this really technology? What is this DNA aspect that's in us?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
that gets me tingling with excitement.
Robin, did you wake up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
No coffee needed.
Yeah. Yes, this is getting into the real, the atomic version of us. What really are we? And we have so many different lenses to look within. We can go into chemistry and the relationship between essentially acids and alkaline. We can go into the relationship between essentially fluid tension and what a threshold is, what a barrier is, what a cell wall really is. And is it really the nuclei that holds the awareness and the consciousness? Or is that just half the story? And the very threshold itself, the barrier itself, has an intelligence that isn't singular. It is all encompassing of that nuclei. So we really get to understand God and creation through looking at ourselves, through chemistry, through biology, through physics. What holds us together? What kind of electricity are we producing? There's a bioelectric field around us that we could easily call electromagnetism. Why do we call it feelings? We have feelings. You can't hold it. You can't put it on a piece of paper or in a box and wrap it and mail it to someone. It's chemistry between individuals. And why are there apparent opposites in every form? An inside and an outside, or a center and a circle around that center, or a positive and a negative. So we are comprised of God itself. And what we've been led to believe is a very narrow scope of what God can be. If God is infinite, we associate it with the light, with the Father aspect of God. And yes, absolutely, that is important, because you cannot explore darkness without light. You cannot illuminate. So how does one illuminate their darkness if they are unaware of the consciousness within the membrane, the threshold itself. How do you communicate to your body to say, I accept light in? How do we accept love from another into our electromagnetic field? This is where the real magic happens. So we have been led to believe God is outside of us. And in this, we've been in search of God outside of us. And we cannot label this as good or bad. Like you're saying, Rebecka, we fall into that polarity. And that's the reality. For awareness to be from one singular point to project itself outward into the other point and not just be that outward point, a part of it has to be left behind. So how does one create separation within themselves? So we look through the microscope and we see cellular division. The nuclei has an idea, a flash of light. And then there's a division of that cell, and then another flash of light and another division of cell. What is that flash of light occurring that they're picking up in these electron microscopes at cellular division? The idea that we can polarize. And to polarize is just to create a magnetic field that's repellent to another. Otherwise, we would always be within the same membrane. So how do we collapse and separate our membranes? And why would awareness and consciousness seek to do so? So it opens us up to some amazing questions, and then we get to explore that.
And from that separation that we've created, where does like the quantum entanglements that we entangle ourselves within that to others, where does that come into play?
Yeah, it's a vibratory force. So if there's a field to play on, the field is secondary, and we have the two teams or the opposing forces. But what is the field? What is the arena in which they play within? So this is where we have terms like grounding and negative energies. And what is time? If there was a before the flash of light, then there is an after a flash of light. And what is that flash of light, that catalyst instigated? Which was the idea to separate. But that flash of light had to be contained within a venue. That idea had to be held. And this is what I refer to as the divine feminine, the great womb, if you want to say, where creation takes place. So within the womb, when anyone is grounded into it, it has its own network of communication. So one being feeling something will vibrate through them and be instantaneously felt by all beings connected into that field. It isn't a light transmission that goes through. That is positive. That's electricity. It caused the individual to have the feeling, but the feeling is a negative, and the negative exists outside of time. This is where the quantum reality exists. It is time collapsed. Well, time is only there because positive expanded it to delineate a before and after, so we could have an event. Otherwise, we would never be able to separate into duality. So these are excellent questions because it brings out we can look at the structure all day long, but we eventually start to ask, why? Why would we separate and then have this illusion of time so I could feel one feeling at a time and you somewhere else could feel a whole different feeling? That doesn't make sense, because then we would have to come together and communicate through ideas translated into our vocal cords and nervous system shaping and muscles contracting and air, spirit coming in and being pushed out, creating harmonics and vibrations to be picked up by you. How inefficient could you possibly make it? But then we have not just our ears, we have our eyes, our nose, our bodies. So when we interact, we have all these signals that we are interpreting and we don't know what they mean. So we have an unknown.
That's just the thing, right? We just overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
Humans.
We have the potential to misinterpret, right? And then that creates an idea that we're different. Because what you're communicating, we're communicating the same thing. It's just we're on opposite sides of that nuclei. So I'm saying, hey, I see everything this way. And you're like, no, that's backwards, Robin. You're totally wrong. You're 180 degrees off. I see it this way. And now we say, oh my gosh, if you're seeing it that way and I'm seeing it this way, am I wrong? And now I have an idea of self-doubt. And now I have an idea that if I am wrong, then I must be disconnected with source. And this other individual must be connected with source. So I am separate. And now we have a potential for me within oneness, me to have an awareness, a consciousness, an echo of that source, a hologram, an ego. And it's not a bad thing. It's just an idea, an identity that we participate within that creates its own field of awareness. And then that field of awareness has the idea that it's lonely and it wants to reconnect with something.
Yeah.
So how beautiful is it for two opposites to come together and form that Vesica Pisces, right? And what happens when that Vesica Pisces is formed between those two spheres? That vortice gives potential for that flash of light to occur, the third idea to come in. So unity isn't mashing two together or overlaying one on top of the other. It's the chemistry of the interaction of two opposite messages, and then the acceptance of each polarity to receive that message. So the threshold has to be willing, because the signals are going to be sent. But when the thresholds are unwilling, that's where we have the clash. And then we have to find it within us to open our hearts to the other person's perspective.
Yes. I always love to look at it as levels of vibration and looking like I always get this with my husband all the time. We always talk different languages, but it's like, because I speaking it, like it's like speaking the energy of what something is compared to the 3D or the physical something is, and it's two different languages of vibrations when you mean the same things. And it's so interesting what you talk about, that clash and everything, of seeing how we can in society now have we've gotten to that point where we're in that judgment of other people, but it's just two different languages of vibration.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's why we see the proverbial split within our society, especially now, no more time than now, have we ever been united, but also divided at the same time. You know, it's unfortunate to witness that on the external, but at the same time, we understand that it's a necessary process because of those vibratory frequencies. There are individuals who are choosing to participate in these vibratory frequencies that are not aligned with anyone else. And that's all a part of their soul contract. They came here to, experience that. And as we continue to grow in this journey of self-evolution, we begin to communicate more and more through vibration. I'm noticing, that with everyday interaction with me and my twin flame. A lot of times words don't even need to be spoken. It's just an energy. It's a vibratory frequency. When we enter each other's spaces, we have an understanding of what's taking place and what's going on. And that is our true way of communication, is through that vibratory frequency. And that's how we aligned in the first place, was through vibratory frequency. That is a twin flame connection. That's Robin and Leia's twin flame connection. It is a vibratory frequency that aligns. Now, it won't always be that way. There'll be times where we'll be reflecting back to one another what needs to be adjusted within ourselves in order to, once again, meet on that level. But again, that's all part of that journey. That's all part of that that self-evolution that myself and Robin speak about so often, almost as if we're broken records. But it's very, very true. Very, very true. It's all a part of that self-evolutionary process that we're going through right now. We're essentially learning the frequency and vibration that is essentially us. What makes us tick? What floats our boat? How do we communicate? How do we reciprocate? How do we react? How do we love? How do we feel anger? How do we feel joy? How do we feel excitement? We're learning all of these things right now. We're learning all of what we are. It is that self-evolutionary process, but we are learning more and more and discovering more and more that it's all through frequency and vibration, everything. It's a frequency and vibrational universe.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. You know, I am still processing all of this. You know, I get it or got it instantaneously, and now I'm taking it all in. I'm like, okay, I know what this is. I heard it before, but I'm understanding it in a different way.
Yeah.
And what really sparked me was when you, Robin, when you started talking about how the emotions are on the outside. And I'm like, okay, because it took me back for a moment, because those who saw me know I teach about the law of vibration. And part of the formula that I teach has to do with the emotions and how we attract through our emotions and how we create with our emotions. And I'm like, okay. And then you moved into the space of senses, because when I think of emotions, I think of the divine feminine. And then when you started talking about the senses, I thought about the divine masculine, because that's more physical. So it's the energy of the feminine meeting the masculine and creating something in that space, in this space. And so when the emotions exist outside, it is now there's a vibratory rate in which all can experience these varying emotions and how they vibrate out. And I can't think of the term, but then I wish I could think of the word, because it's the perfect word and I can't think of it. But you know, they vibrate back. It's a reverb, if you will. Resonate. Yes, and they come back. And so it is in this form of expression that is happening both internally and externally that creates this experience and this magnetic space of the Horus and the monadic fields that is around us. And so when you both, actually when you all three were speaking of this, it just created this field of resonance in that space. And this is what I appreciate about connecting with you guys, because there's this space of resonance that is happening on various levels, inside and out, so that way people can absorb it and process it in different ways and rates. And so as we move into the rest of this year, as we step into this divine space, it is now that which we now allowing ourselves to create in a different level, in a different way. And I know that you all spoke about vibration and frequency being and becoming the main way to communicate. And I just want to know from your personal experiences, because the three of you, I mean, no words and how you guys just interact and connect with each other. But have you guys begun the transition to communicate in a vibratory way? And if so, how was that transition, or how was that process to really communicate, especially when you are communicating from a higher frequency such as love?
Well, I'm going to take this. I'll start. Well, it's really interesting because we obviously feel each other, on that level. We'll all be thinking of something, and all of a sudden Greg's phoning about the same, like, or I'm emailing somebody and it comes through on it's amazing because we literally are resonating on that level. I think honestly, well, what I've been really working through lately is the idea of expectation and letting go of expectation of others. And then letting go of expectation of myself. So in the theme of unconditional love for self, can I not, reject any aspect that's brought me to this point or anything that's happened? And can I not project expectation onto anybody, Robin, my kids, my friends, the people in my circles, and the same for myself? When we let go of expectation, then we aren't setting ourselves up for some kind of failure. Really, that's ultimate presence, isn't it? Because when we can truly be present in that moment, we're here with full knowledge of what's happened, but we're not carrying it with us and acting from that space. It's pure unconditional love to say, this is a new moment. Right. And we still get caught up in these human things that pull us out of it. Right. We can masculine ourselves away and shape. But are we really creating? Are we really in touch with our feminine nature? Are we, as we said with our clients the other day, are we really spreading our wings to feel the wind? And that's the trust, right? That's the trust and knowing that you are absolutely divinely in presence in those moments because you have really accepted everything internally to be able to show up that way. And when all three of us show up that way, that connection is just there. It's a knowing. It's a beautiful thing. It really,
it's magic. It's magic. It has been from day one. We were, it was written in the stars for us to do this work, and especially for us to do this together. It really is magic, the space that we create and facilitate, not just for ourselves as individuals and family, but for our clients that choose to be with us, not people that need us out of a sense of neediness, but out of a true sense of I'm investing in myself, I'm stepping forward, I'm putting myself first and foremost, and I really, really want to participate in this energy, vibration, and frequency with these three individuals, and with the divine and unique gifts and traits and qualities that we all share between the three of us. We're able to give and deliver a multifaceted, facilitated space for an individual to grow on exponentially on multiple levels. And at many times we witness instantaneously. There is a huge change within the individual after the first session. They come in, with their expectations. And by midway through, we are slowly seeing those expectations being dismantled one by one by one by one. And by the time they're done, they're left with no expectations, and they're left with a result that they therefore, we tell them this quite often, you're going to have to integrate this after the session. So it's okay if the next few days, the preceding few days are a little weird. This is your chance to integrate all of the new permission slips and codes that you have now been given. The ball is essentially now in your court, and that's what we pride ourselves on. We don't do it for them. We throw the ball in their court and we say, hey, take the shot.
I so love that you brought that up, because it's so important. It's important for everyone out today to know that it is that simple. Like, we've been so conditioned that it takes so long to heal or let go or move forward. But we're at a time right now with the energy that is love. It's basically just what you said, Leigha, about just trusting and acceptance and letting go those expectations. And once you can do that, so I mean, thank the three of you for coming together and finding the magic to create that for people, to hold that space, because it's so important for humanity to know right now. It's so easy to let this all go, this old stuff that we hold on to, and move forward. But we just are caught up in these old paradigms and nonsense because we're silly humans. And so thank you for the work that you do and bringing that together, because and that's such a great message, that it is that easy and that fast. If you can step into and open up to the expectations and surrendering, trusting, and letting go, boom, the magic is there.
Yeah.
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 Who had it right? Walt Disney. Zippity zap. What is it? Zippity zappity zoo. What is it?
No, yes. Mary Poppins. And I guess I'm gonna have to share because it keeps coming up. For those who've been watching, the past month, I've been really going through a personal transformation, and it is in that, in those who are watching it and those who are here present are bearing witness to this great shift within me. And as I'm sitting here, I'm getting this massive download of information, allowing myself to be open to receive. And so part of the expectation that we carry is the energy and generation that has been created of instantaneous. I want it now. It has to happen now. It has to be now. And in this space of now is also the space of being present. But those two terms often get misconstrued. In the term of people wanting it now, they are not present. They are waiting for something to happen. They're in this perpetual space of waiting, as opposed to being present. They are just in the present moment, allowing the unfolding to happen. And so with the work that you guys do, and in the space of expectations, what expectations have you released from each other to do better, to be better, not just for your clients, but mostly for yourselves? Because I feel that's mostly important for you guys to perform and be the facilitators that you are.
Yeah.
Well, definitely the expectation of it to look the same or be the same. By understanding we're all unique for a reason. So when our reintegration with our ego's identity, when we finally understand, okay, I am safe, I can share who I am, I've understood what I am, I'm going to upload all this information to source again and really share what I am with the world. We're supposed to be unique. That's the gift in us. So in the work we've done, we really get to see the uniqueness in the individuals, how our Trinity supports each other. Because if we were all just the same point, we would all just make the same point and then sit there and stare at you. There'd be no one to receive you on the other side of that point, or no one to prepare you before that point is made, and that point may be too sharp. So there's great beauty in the dynamics or trinamics of what's going on within the mentorship programs we participate in with individuals, within the containers, the partners that we work with, the couples mentorship. It's so beautiful to have the one-on-one time with them, or 1 to 2, and then the 3 to 2 or 3 to 1. And to see what's stimulated, and it's all contributing. Like I said, the physics, the chemistry, the philosophy of the why behind it all gives the reason. And can we understand the why behind all of us? Because we can understand, what's good to eat for our body and what our body agrees with, and then just eat that. But do we know why our body is disagreeing with certain things? Or do we just accommodate that thing and then move on? So by making accommodations and saying, oh, that's just me, I'm deficient in this way, we hold on to an idea of a self that can't grow. So when your vibratory field looks to expand, that part, when it's time for it to expand with the whole, it says, oh, no,
Wait a sec.
my job is to
Yeah.
stay here and hold on to this vibration. When your field is emanated, you're going to have a hole in that because it doesn't extend out with the rest. And that hole, you may be very self-conscious of it subconsciously. And you may look to turn away from that hole so it's always behind you. So whenever you're presenting to someone, they can't see into that hole and see inside of you and know that you're not whole, that you're holding on to something. So we'll make accommodations and we'll only present ourselves when we're all made up and dressed up, and then we'll go out, because if someone sees me without makeup, it's the end of the world. Because they'll see into my hole and they'll see that I'm not as beautiful as I don't think I'm as beautiful as I want to be. And that could be the thing you're holding on to because someone said a bad comment because they were jealous of your beauty. And then that became your thing you're holding on to. So when you go to strike a bell, if it's got a bunch of stuff duct taped up underneath it, held on in there, it's going to be like, oh, where'd the sound go? What's diffusing the sound? What's not letting it resonate? Where's the blockage? So you reach up under there and you're like, hey, who put this there? Oh, I thought I might need that for later. What, this big lump of paint?
Strong stuff.
Yeah. So we pull that out and say, and we look at it and say, why did you stash that up there? Well, I thought I would need that kilo of whatever it is for later because my paint. Well, you don't need this. Let's look at why you believe you have pain. Right? Why are you afraid to really ring your bell? What self-restricting belief? So those really get exposed when you get to be in a high vibratory field, and like we participate in with each other, we bring the best out in each other, and
the three of us aren't afraid to essentially wipe the slate clean, right? Like, you know, we are meant to progress in as humans and rewrite the story however many times we want to, you know, and we are not afraid of doors shutting for new ones to open. And all three of us approach life that way as individuals as well. Not saying that some of those doors closing aren't painful, but we're all willing to take absolute responsibility for the role we played, and acknowledge, you know, all of the aspects that, you know, that essentially hurt us, including ourselves' role in it. And then when we are faced with something as a trio or in our individual, you know, it's not hard for us to just go, okay, pivot. This doesn't align anymore or whatever. Like, we haven't even been in business for a year and we are beyond blown out of the water as far as what our expectations of this was when we began. But we have closed certain doors that allowed for this growth and expansion in other ways. Like, you know, the way that we started out does not look like what we're doing now because we didn't cling to that very first idea, you know, and that this is the only way. It's like, okay, no, we are elevating, and so are clients, and so are the people that are going to be attracted in. So we have to be able to pivot. You know?
Yeah. And we were completely different people. When we started that original template and format. It isn't amazing how drastically you change. I mean, I feel just over the past few days, I've shed even more skin. I shed a skin before I hopped on here. All of you beautiful souls. I had a release. I let go of an individual in my life, or let go of what residuals was left over from that individual, a grandfather or whatnot. And no, it was a beautiful moment. So we're constantly evolving. So we were completely different people when we started out with that original format and template. And it doesn't mean that there was anything wrong with it. There's still nothing wrong with it. It's just we have evolved beyond that. And we have to share that with others. It has to reflect within the blissness, as we call it. It has to, because individuals are also evolving. So how we're evolving has to reflect that, to bring in those individuals so that they can participate in that energy and frequency that works for them, and that allows them and gives them permission to elevate. So it's going beyond the simple and going to the extraordinary.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How did you go? Because this is my first time experiencing all of you together. How did you create that magic together? Like, what was that? Talking about quantum entanglements and coming together. Like, where did you first meet, or how did you all come together to
Well,
this beautiful joy?
I threw myself right out there into the so-called truther ring. I don't carry that label anymore. We have discarded that long ago. But that's how it all started. That's how many of us started, was getting into all of the intel, and it was all about the 3D external. What is going on? Like, learning about all of this stuff, and oh my God, the whole thing is a sham, right? So so I threw myself into that and became a voice for people. It was my sole purpose to step into the ring, and I connected with my soul sister Leigha on Facebook, and we began a dialogue, and we officially connected through the video screen. It would be almost 2 years ago now, or what was it, January 6th of 2020? It was, we officially met.
1 year ago. 1 year ago.
Oh, was it 1 year ago? Okay.
Wow.
It seems even longer, but
I know.
Yeah.
We've been together lifetimes, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Seems even longer, but we connected on January 6th a year ago on that fateful day in DC. And a chord was struck. There was definitely a resonance that expanded lifetimes. And we just continued to connect. And I was really, really blown away and just incredibly moved and drawn to Robin. His connection to spirit, his divine wisdom, the things that he was saying and the way that he was saying it wasn't triggering at all, which is why I still couldn't, I was like, why is my ego not jumping to the forefront and going, what the hell is this guy saying? Like,
oh, Robin has that effect on people.
It wasn't happening. It flowed through me like a calm streaming river, and it made complete sense. It made absolute complete sense. And I reached out to him and I said, hey, I would love to interview you on my platform for a channel. Our first show was speaking about Christ consciousness, and I said, let's turn this into a series. Let's build something special together. Let's create something together. And that creation became a 40+ broadcast series where we did the journey within and beyond, the raw truth and challenging beliefs. And we did exactly that and then some. And we talked, we essentially created a book and then closed that book, and have now moved on to soul surfing, riding the waves of self-evolution. That is our next book. That is our next journey together. So, and within all of that, within those broadcasts, within our connection, myself and Robin foresaw a timeline in which we are unique gifts to help heal people online. And the rest is history. Spirit Rebirthed and Herbal Healing was born. And as it grew and grew, Leigha has always played an integral and important role. And later on within that, she stepped in as well, and we completed the Divine Trinity. And again, the rest is history. Here we are.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that beautiful story of, and that's just how the world can be today. So you're just an example of what we can create on this world. So thank you so much.
Yeah, being willing to explore the unknown is really what brought us together. With what was going on in the world, Leigha had some time to start asking the important questions. We were really busy in our studio, and I was doing the psychological, spiritual work as much as I could with every client possible in my massage work, the body healing, because it isn't just about an injury. The reason it was susceptible to be injured was a lack of essentially body energy going to that area due to a belief, injury, something, trauma. And they were all connected with feelings that we were holding on to, feelings about a situation, feelings about something someone said. And that feeling, when unacknowledged, it would reside deep within our gut brain. And I found that as through the body work, whether it be starting on a finger, you trace it all the way down and you find, oh my gosh, it's connected. And through breathing, permitting the spirit to come in and bring the light into that area, and then the permission to exhale, to let go of it, has created some amazing healing events with individuals and within myself, and growing in understanding under the tutelage of my spirit guides that were my educators. Because I even asked them, why am I not able to find a master? And they said to me, Robin, you're to master yourself. It's not about following.
Yeah.
So this is the real key of what we offer. We don't give a way to follow. We help an individual orient themselves with the vector they're meant to take.
Exactly.
Because it's not my vector. But because I have found mine, I understand the struggles of the left and the right, the dark and the light, as we come into unity within. And someone that has walked through the darkness, they don't mind holding your hand while you're walking through darkness. We know it's not that bad. And the world, through my brother Greg and Leigha waking up and participating online, and I'm hearing the stuff in the background while I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, what? People are ready. It's I can say this stuff in public and I'm not crazy. People are questioning finally, because until you question, until your boat's rocked, you don't look to stabilize it.
Nope.
So you have no idea that you've been boating around with a huge list and it's making you go in a circle, right?
Right.
And someone reorients it for you and you go, oh, okay, what I thought was normal is not normal. And that's where I got to participate in humanity for the first time as a soul, because I kept it to myself. I would tell Leigha about things, but she's like, okay, yeah, that's great. I'm off to dance class. So, they have this at this time, this at this time, and then you got to be here. And oh, okay, yep. So it's a miracle that we're all here together now, and our soul family is emerging. And it really needed the catalyst, the pressure of what's going on in the external, for us to all decide, who am I? That's more important than who's better to follow. So we're all getting that opportunity now, is to come home into self, and the growth in my brother and my wife and myself through our journey together. It's been an externalized version of that unity of the divine Trinity within. It's actually manifested on the outside, and we are coming together and finding our own roles. And with that, the alchemy is when another individual comes into our space, they get access to all three centers of their consciousness and get to expose themselves to their own imbalances. And we get to say, hey, don't feel bad about that. That actually means that you care. If you weren't hurt over that, we would be worried about you. So
thank you so much. Thank you, Robin. Yes, I know.
You feel it, don't you? You're like,
I know. So thank you, Rebecka. I'll check in with you later.
Okay, I want to thank you, Greg, Robin, and Leigha for the time today. I do have to rush off. I have an appointment I have
Yes.
to go to. And
Nice to meet you.
Absolutely.
oh, so much to meet you. My heart goes to all three of you, and keep up the beautiful work
Thank
that
you.
you're doing to expand this consciousness, because we all got to do this together. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Rebecka.
And I will give you back to Hillis. He'll finish the show up. Thank you, all you cosmic explorers out there. Till next time.
Yeah.
So, you know, the three of you, I mean, it's always beautiful because I feel the love. And, you know, I was holding back, and actually still am holding back a little bit because I can easily open the floodgates and just tears because of my own personal transformation, you know, of ending a relationship and stepping into, well, not stepping into, embodying who I really am supposed to be. And, you know, just witnessing that in you guys is truly amazing. And I know that before, when we started this conversation, talking about DNA and the technology behind it. And, you know, you go through life, you hear these things, then you grow up, and then you begin to experience these things. And then you begin to think, am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? Is this really happening? And so you go through the whole human psychology of it all. And then you begin to seek out people and information for you to validate the experience of emotions that you're feeling.
Mhm.
And then you don't receive that validation, then you go crazy. And then when it gets to that space of when you finally let go of the idea of you being crazy, is when things begin to make sense and everyone comes to join you in the crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, beautiful, Hillis. Yeah.
Sums it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so with that, with us joining in the crazy, so to speak, I guess what I really want to know is, at the heart of the matter, you know, the DNA that we hold, you know, the DNA, you know, is, you know, some people say it's from Earth, some people say the DNA is from space, some people say the DNA is from the central sun, some people say it's, and in your words, I want to know, can you truly sum up the DNA that we carry? Where is it derived from?
Mhm. Ooh. Well, I do have some theories on this, and because of my intuition and due to a few experiences, I was like, yeah, why would I be pulled to that? Why is that? Why did I say these things growing up? So yes, I believe um, in awareness and consciousness itself, all potential exists. It's that we're experiencing this potential at this moment. So if we're experiencing this potential, all others have been experienced in another moment. Therefore, they all happen. We were a part of it all. It's just which experiences are valid to contribute to this one.
Mm-hmm.
And when we reverse engineer what we are, and this is big, like wink, wink, hint, hint, right? When you reverse engineer who you are, you will find that, yes, you are assimilated from a multitude of different aspects that make you up. Your desires, your identity itself may trickle into this lifetime from a past lifetime because you weren't fully satisfied with the journey, the lesson you were on, and you made a pact with yourself to next lifetime hold on to this characteristic or trait. So it would be that little breadcrumb that you could pull on and reestablish that connection with spirit that is the loose end is flapping in a past lifetime. So in order for you to be whole in this lifetime, you got that breadcrumb of, hey, why do I got a chip on my shoulder about this type of person? And then you do a regression and you find out, wow, okay, I was that person in a past life. And no wonder that agitates me so much. I made a pact with myself to never be that again. Because in that past life, I realized what an a-hole I was. So in this life, I got to do work and forgive my past self because it's okay that happened, because I learned the lesson, and now in this life I'm doing all I can to not be that person. Should I project my hatred into them and my judgment into them? No. And that gives me the power to take back my resentment for a different type of person and say, oh, it was a part of me that I was resenting. And now that I've accepted it and loved it and honored it for its role, that other person on the external doesn't reflect that about me anymore. So they've actually changed to me. And now our relationship on the outside changes. Go figure. And I didn't even have to write them a letter. Just we get along now. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
It's really magic. So the DNA is, yes, that chemical composition that holds the vibrations of all those memories, all those aspects. And when we are broken inside, it's because our DNA isn't connecting that signal. They're sending the signals, but the signals aren't impacting. And then it gets scrapped, and we try it again in a new combination. It gets scrapped. So we do have all this junk DNA. They're just cells that haven't been realized until we hit the right combination. And when we connect one, we go, oh, hey, if I connected with one part of self, what other selves have I been denying within me? What else am I comprised of? And I usually use the analogy of a 12-hour clock. And how do you get to the 13th hour without just starting over again? So if there's 12 aspects of self and you only get to experience maybe one in a lifetime, you're going to need about 12 lifetimes to get around the clock. What if those 6 hours or that half that existed in darkness, what if that wasn't integrated? So you're going to keep recreating that dark 6 hours within your lifetime so you can get that part of yourself back again. So it's not that you're reincarnating as a victim over and over again. It's that that's the most applicable place for you to find what you've left behind.
Yeah.
So self-love is really the key to reconnecting that zipper of DNA. That's the permission for the chemistry to accept. It's, oh, I am of love. Otherwise, if I'm not of love, it's outside of me and I need to take it from someone and put it in me. So that becomes that entropic entity. And that is the idea of the ego. That's the vampire that sustains itself through taking from others. And as a human being, we're not aware of how to produce energy on our own. We know we can eat food and chemically it will happen for us. We know when we breathe, it does something. It allows more electrical potential to be within us, right? If you want to heal quicker, you take oxygen supplement because your potential for more electrical energy can flow through your body, so it speeds up the healing time. So it reduces the amount of time of healing. So that electrical potential is what time is. And oxygen is the key to having that within us. So if we want to extend our lives, we breathe slower. We become more balanced, right? If we want to speed up time and have more experience, then we become more active. But then we have less overall time to experience the human condition. So it's a perfect balance, right? It's really the potential for both at all times. Because God loves the roller coaster. So can you give yourself permission to fluctuate and to feel those feelings? Because as you're experiencing, Hillis, it's the most beautiful thing is that endocrine system releasing when we finally let go of pain, when we finally have a realization of how we were preventing love from entering us. When we let go of that, is that not akin to essentially the orgasmic union? It is a complete release that allows a union to be present within. And that's what we're all seeking. So without the pain, we wouldn't have bliss. So as long as we're struggling to not have pain, we're struggling to not understand the lesson it came to teach us.
Yeah.
The longer we stretch out our painful experience. So, so yes.
You know, I guess now would be an appropriate time because I, haven't mentioned this to anyone not on the show, but I am super excited for the new show that the three of us are putting together along with our two other brothers to bring this to the forefront, because, I mean, honestly, people told me that they could listen to me for hours, but I could listen to you all day. I mean, just the energy and the presence that you put behind everything, it brings the duality, the sensibility behind it, the greater space of understanding. Because I know I can sit here and download and speak and talk and do it, but there's this presence that you bring in, which I know that both Leigha and Greg can attest to, is that the foundation in which the energy emits for those to really get it, because it's here, and I honor and thank you for that, and just creating this space, and man, I mean. I mean, you three, I mean, I can't wait till we meet in person one day. I just have great love for you all. I really do. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
But so anyone who wants to purchase this DNA activation, you guys can definitely click on the link in the description. Be sure to do so with this awesome trio of wonderful beings on this planet. Some of the most wonderful beings I've ever had the chance to encounter. And you guys, where's the best place for them to contact you and to get a hold of you, to book a session, and to learn more about you guys?
Yes. Well, we have a website that is www.galacticinnature.com. Click Spirited Rebirth and Herbal Healing.
Yes.
And you can also reach out to us via email at spiritedsoulexpedition@gmail.com. And you can follow us on Facebook, our Facebook group, Telegram, our Telegram group, and Instagram. So we're out there, guys. We're available. Yeah, there you go. We would our space is open to anyone who chooses to participate in our frequency and vibration.
Oh, so I'm just going to assume by the email that you guys are eventually going to start planning expeditions and retreats.
Oh, that's on the list.
That's on the list. Yep.
For the future, sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely.
Aww.
But you guys, thank you so much, and thank you, Cosmic Explorers, for watching this week's episode. Next week, I forgot who's coming up next week. I think just tune in to next week, but be sure to tune in every Friday live for your weekly tune-up, Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. You never know what's going to happen live, except that you will be tuned up. Until next time, everyone, have an amazing, amazing week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. God bless.